Everybody, and welcome to another week of discussion in media, culture, and identity. This week, my dog Polly is joining us just because he decided to fall asleep right there, and there he shall stay for this particular video. So, we are talking about Stuart Hall's theory of representation today. And Stuart Hall was really a trailblazer in that he diverged from contemporary media and cultural theorists in how he understood that images don't have an essential or static truth that we're continuously trying to uncover and is somehow distorted. So, what does he mean by that? He's thinking about how meaning is continuously being determined through text being circulated, through conversations being had, and truth is created in that particular exchange of content. So, when we think about how, media and cultural theorists of the time were considering, truth having this static, essential quality, it was kind of viewing truth in the sense that it was, a Wizard of Oz character behind the curtain that we were continuously trying to pull back the curtain to uncover, and we were trying to get through all the layers of distortion to reveal that truth. But, Stuart Hall was saying that we need to be thinking more about how meaning is constituted in this ongoing way, and how trying to get behind the curtain and find that truth is not necessarily going to uncover any new information, where we really just need to be looking at the exchange of information that's taking shape. So, to apply this to an example, we could think about Trump's Twitter, for instance. So, if we think about truth having this static, essential quality, we would see that, Trump's Twitter is hiding, this static, essential truth that's behind the curtain, and that we need to peel back the layers of distortion that are being created in order to get to that essential truth. But if we applied Stuart Hall's way of thinking, when it comes to representation, we would see that Trump's Twitter is continuously creating meaning through each tweet, each deleted tweet, how those tweets are circulated, and meaning is created in that particular sense of the word. So, thinking about how when we're thinking about truth in relation to this, we're thinking about how a lot of different interpretations come into play. So, making space for those various interpretations, it's recognizing that there's not one static essential truth that's at play, but considering how through cultural exchange all of these different interpretations are creating diverse understandings of truth. So yeah, let's think about this also in relation to even Raymond Williams from a few weeks before. So Stuart Hall is very much in conversation with Raymond Williams and thinking about how culture is continuously shaped through everything that we're exchanging, and it's continuously evolving as a result of that. There's no static truth behind the curtain to culture. It's something that we're defining in an ongoing way. So when we think about how Stuart Hall is in conversation here, we're thinking about how representation and the images that characterize representation are they have a constitutive quality. So a constitutive quality in the sense that that meaning is continuously being defined, just in a dynamic, perpetual way. So let's think about how Stuart Hall relates this notion of representation being continuously defined to systemic power, and thinking about how the images that we're exposed to in an ongoing way, how they shape our perceptions of different social groups. So Stuart Hall zones in on stereotyping, and thinks about how stereotyping is a way that we come to understand various social groups. And in doing so, we continue to reinforce inequitable power dynamics. So Stuart Hall sees that there is a great power in shaping, how the various images and symbols that we associate with a diversity of identities and experiences. So how does that take shape and what does that look like? We could think about how one of the pieces for this week, Walida Imarisha's The Racial Politics of Disney Animals, she starts to think about how, various characters in, Disney narratives, they play a big role in terms of educating young people, in terms of educating the public on how we understand a diversity of identities. And she's looking to how, for instance, we could think about, past Disney characters, such as like in the movie Oliver and Company, one of the dogs that is portrayed as a criminal is, also, the one character that happens to be Mexican. And, thinking about how in the Lady and the Tramp movie, if people can remember that story, the Siamese cats in the story are also portrayed as really nefarious and cunning. So there's also a clear villainous quality that's associated with, the various characters of color. So Walida Imarisha is thinking about, how Disney has played this key role, and we're thinking about that in next week's conversation too, this key role that Disney plays in shaping the cultural imagination. But, it helps us start to think about what does stereotyping look like. And, I'm sure that, with all of the media content that you all check out on a daily basis, that you all are familiar with, we can think about this in relation to various tropes that we see so often. So, there's the gay best friend, there's, the spicy or hot-headed Latina character, the nerdy Asian guy. So these are all familiar tropes that do this work of presenting, a social group that has so many stories, that there's so much diversity within diversity of any particular social group. But media, through tropes, will flatten, those representations to be a kind of one-size-fits-all narrative that then will follow, various social groups, and people will apply those particular tropes to their understanding of people in real life. So Stuart Hall is very concerned with how stereotyping can, certainly be very harmful in how it does shape people's perceptions of different social groups. And, we could write it off as just being like, oh, it's just another character that's, fulfilling this particular stereotype. It's not that harmful. But thinking about when there's a pattern, that speaks to Stuart Hall's theory of that continuous exposure to particular symbols and images does this really key cultural work of shaping our perception. So with that, the good news about Stuart Hall's theory is that if we're continuously defining, cultural representation in an ongoing dynamic way, we can shift away from those stereotypical representations. And one of the short pieces that I asked you to look at this week is about TikTokers and representation on TikTok. So we could think about how, the For You page on TikTok has continuously pushed TikTokers of color out of the mix. And there's a lot to be said with regards to, algorithmic knowledge in that case. But thinking about if there was more intentionality around, centering, say different TikTokers, different, Instagram users of color, various social media users of color to share their narratives, to express themselves and share their experiences, from their own mouths in an authentic way, that, we're not receiving information about different social groups, in that case, through the lens of stereotype, if we're able, to hear from those folks themselves. So we'll be talking a little bit more about stereotyping on the Discord board this week, and I look forward to hearing what y'all have to say.